My name is Kai Elwoodoo.
Fiona Crane.
Jack Chonchwing.
Hassan Rosales.
Miss Liza Brilliant.
Grayson Loudermilk.
Cameron Gallic.
Benji Colosito.
Maddie Abate. Deborah Mollitz.
Matthias Miranda Vira.
Julia Sumala.
John Narvaez.
Noah Solomon.
Jonah.
Gabriella Capisi.
Anna O'Keefe.
Kaylin Condon.
I run track and cross country.
Football. I also do track and field.
Softball.
Cross country and track.
Field hockey. Volleyball.
Soccer.
Varsity baseball.
Basketball.
Cheer.
Soccer. And I've been diving for probably around 6 years.
4 years. About 10 years.
Probably since I was 5.
3 years.
12 or 13 years.
10 years.
For 4 years.
No.
Honestly, no. I don't think I have gotten enough sleep.
No.
Definitely not.
Personally, I mean, I guess that's pretty relative, but I would say that for the most part, no.
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 Not at all. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I could probably use more, but
Some nights yes, some nights no.
Yeah, I would say I get a fair amount of sleep. So
I make it a self-goal to finish all my work before 10 so I can get to bed at 10:30 every night.
A lot of Saturdays, we've actually been having practices at about like 5:30 in the morning, that early sometimes, and I know that, we get Sundays off, but sometimes that's a little stressful on the body.
my junior year was really hard because I had just so many courses that were important for my school resume. I was starting to look at colleges more seriously, and so academics was definitely my first priority.
So Blair, we got home, I'd say around 11:30. We were just stuck there in traffic. It was horrible. So many people came to watch the game. And I got home at 12 because my mom took so long to pick me up, and I had an essay due. I had an essay due at 11:59.
The coach is really strict. He'll say if you don't throw up or don't feel blood at the tips of your tongue, then you're not going hard enough. And sometimes when somebody does throw up, he'll still get mad.
This week I had a basketball game on Tuesday, and I had my oral commentary for IB English and a history test on Wednesday.
This morning, I actually had practice. It was at 4:45 a.m.
Track meets are usually really late. So I remember one time we were coming back and there was a snowstorm, and we were trapped out on the Beltway until 2 o'clock in the morning.
When we went to the state championship and we had the semifinal, they were at College Park, and the semifinal game was, I think, on a Thursday night, and the game didn't start till 9, and I don't think I got home till midnight that night, and I actually had a math test the next day. I would say that experience is something that is something that impacted the way that I had to schedule my day, I guess.
I had to do this project for AP Government, but I had a game and it lasted until 9. And by the time I got home, I was working on it, and I didn't finish until 2 o'clock. I think you should know that we're students first and athletes second.
Started on this out of my house, and the reason I started it was because I just felt the drinks were too sweet. I ran track in high school and in college, I did cross country and track, and I always felt like the drinks were just too sweet. And it was funny that I realized I can't be the only person who feels this way. When I was growing up, so this is in the 80s, all the drinks were 100 calories per 8-ounce serving. I thought, gosh, am I the only person who feels that way? Or is it just that the beverage companies don't see that? I said, well, there should be a drink that's not so sweet. And so in 1995, I was at the Yale School of Management, and my professor's name was Barry Nelbuff, and so you see every bottle is signed Seth and Barry. And I'm Seth and he's Barry. He said, let's make some samples of drinks that aren't so sweet, see how they do. And I was interested, but I was in my second year of business school. I had to find a job, so I moved down to Bethesda. I came to work for the Calvert Group, which is just up the street, or was up the street. They just sold, which is too bad. But and then I said, okay, I think I'm ready to launch a beverage company. And Barry, I reached back out to him. He had just been in India. When Coke invested, everything we sold was organic. It's still all organic. But not everything was fair trade certified. We only had about 40% of our drinks fair trade certified. Now all of them are fair trade certified. So we were able to protect the fair trade components. And in fact, just this year, we've now given over $1 million back in fair trade funds to the communities we source from. And that part of that is because of the scale we've been able to reach.
The moon in the bureau mirror looks out 1,000,000 miles, and perhaps with pride at herself, but she never smiles. Far and away, beyond sleep, or perhaps she's a daytime sleeper. By the universe deserted, she'd tell it to go to hell, and she'd find a body of water, or a mirror on which to dwell. So wrap up care in a cobweb, and drop it down the well, into that world inverted, where left is always right, where the shadows are really the body, where we stay awake all night, where the heavens are shallow as the sea is now deep, and you love me.
Tim died on a Tuesday in June of 2010 after battling leukemia, what they call standard acute lymphocytic leukemia, for 6 years. He was on the verge of turning 16, and he had battled it since his diagnosis on the verge of 10. So he battled leukemia for 6 years. And it was really strange because my boy Tim, like many people we know here at BCC, was not necessarily the most macho guy. He wasn't like a sports guy. He was just like kind of this unassuming, kind of cerebral kid. But it ended up that he was one of the most brave people I've ever met. I mean, he endured all these procedures during the 6 years, never complaining about the pain, never flinching when they'd say, all right, Tim, we did that blood draw, but we need to do another blood draw. Not only was he wrenched from his daily life, he's going through these very painful procedures, but it tore apart our family. I mean, it really, this type of cancer is so endemic to how the system works, right? It's not like we can isolate it. Not that any other type of cancer is any better, I'm not saying that, but this is your body having the wrong type of gas in the tank. It's like putting diesel fuel in a regular tank. You're gonna break down. We got Tim through that first phase, those first 3 years. During that time, he had all kinds of bad reactions. So he had diabetes. He had, from one of the chemotherapy drugs, he had a situation where he had a major set of seizures because one particular drug had caused a major blood clot to form in his sagittal sinus. And so he was incarcerated. We always used to joke. He was incarcerated again in the hospital until that particular blood clot was able to shrink down and be reabsorbed. The steroids that most cancer patients have, whether it's breast cancer or brain cancer or leukemia, the steroids wreak havoc with the patient's emotions. They wreak havoc. They're the things that are, and the chemo drugs are part of a cancer patient losing their hair. That's why typically kids who are under chemotherapy, a lot of the Penny Schwer patients, poster kids we see, have kind of a bloated or full moon face. it's all part and parcel of getting a cure, but imagine being a teenager going back into school and not even looking like you normally do. You know, they're so fraught with all these different things. So we got through the 3 years. Tim got in remission. It was great. And within 2 months, though, there were signs that the cancer had reappeared. And so at that point, if the standard protocol doesn't work, that's when they go into the next phase of trying to cure it, which is a bone marrow transplant. At the point of diagnosis, another big part of the process is Make-A-Wish comes in, which is not part of leukemia lymphoma, but it's a very important organization, because when a kid gets a diagnosis as grave as this, the Make-A-Wish volunteers will come into the hospital and say, all right, you've gotten this diagnosis. We want you to think about what would really be something special that you'd like to do. And Tim and I are very into nature, very into being outdoors, and we were talking about it, and he said, Mom, I'd really like to go to the Great Barrier Reef. I'd really like to go to a tropical rainforest. We're here in Australia at the Sydney Zoo, and he's holding what's called an echidna. It's a little dusty. It looks like a porcupine, but it's actually this little rodenty thing. These are not quills, but like barbed quills like a porcupine, but actually kind of just nubby little quills. And you can kind of see from his face, he's pretty psyched. So we all had a behind-the-scenes tour of the Sydney Zoo in Australia. I mean, it was amazing. We got to hold these big boa constrictors and koalas and all these cool things, and Tim was really into nature, so Make-A-Wish really did a good job with that. After that wonderful trip, it was September of his freshman year. He'd just gone to homecoming with a bunch of friends, and he wasn't feeling well. We took him in for blood tests, and the cancer had reappeared. And so it was that quick. You know, just like, ugh. So basically, we went back to our oncologist at Children's, and they said, all right, well, they're trying some new stuff at NIH. And at that point, I said, Tim, you know what? Do you want to do this? Or do you want to just chill? Do you want to take a trip? You know, what do you want to do? He goes, no, Mom, I want to see what's going on at NIH. You go over there, and it's kind of like a lab and a hospital. It was very different than being at Children's. Tim was one of the few leukemia cases there. And he went back to school, but it just, the doctors were kind of advising us all along, like, you know, we're doing this, but it's not looking like it's having any impact on the cancer. We just can't seem to keep it at bay. And we went back to the oncologist at Children's, and they gave us one more possibility. And Tim said, all right, I want to try that. And I remember looking at him and looking at his oncologist, and at this point the oncologist, Ann Angelillo is her name, we were all very close, the three of us. And I said, when you talk to Tim about what his options are, I don't want to be in the room, because I fear that he's going through all this to make it better for us, to make it better for the people he potentially is going to leave behind. I said, I don't want him making a decision to protect me or his father or his siblings or anybody else. I want him to do this last step because he wants to. Well, this last step was akin to giving him the equivalent of mustard gas, that toxic. He knew what the potential was for the cure, but he also knew what the side effects would be, and he said, no, I want to try it. So we were into this protocol for about a month, and we got a remission status right away. Happiness and joy, right? But what happened was the toxicity of the chemotherapy, the cure, wreaked havoc again on all his major organs. And so he was in for one last round of chemo, And at that point at Children's, his liver started shutting down, his blood pressure just basically dropped bottom. And he went into the intensive care unit mid-June, and within 2 weeks, he passed away. But the end of that story is, in Tim's dying, I had the privilege of holding him in my arms as he died. I had the privilege of seeing this person, my son, walk a path of bravery and acceptance that I think very few people ever get to witness. And this was my son, who is part of my soul, part of my body, part of a much bigger network of friends and family that obviously were devastated by his loss. And I think of also, every year I come to teach here, I've lost one of my kids, but I have 150 new kids every year. And so it's been really tough, but you know, especially for me within this BCC community, knowing that we do the Pennies for Patients drive every year is so important. And I think sometimes the students here at BCC don't really understand how big of an impact it makes on people's lives directly. And you know, I hope through this interview and the information I'm giving, people, if they have any questions about what it is, or what it's like to lose a child, or what it's like to be a witness to somebody going through this process, you know, my door's always open. Yeah. Thank you. Welcome.
I'm so attractive, I know. Where the heck is that?
Where the heck is what now?
Daniel.
Oh, Daniel? I have no clue. We haven't told him whether or not we want him to come here or
Oh.
museum.
That could be a problem.
It's up to you. Leave it open at that hot sauce.
Obviously, they have Catherine because everything is Catherine. But do they have me because I'm never here?
Cisco or Francisco?
Cisco or Francisco.
Oh. Wait, I want to say they have an Eileen. They never have an Eileen.
I am
An Eileen?
Oh my
I
god.
feel like they have Eileen. No, it's always, if they have it, it's always
like they
gone.
have a Ronald and
It
a
would be over
Rhonda.
here.
Rhonda. Okay, wait.
Look at his thumbs. Who does this? Who's like, who holds it at the waist?
They couldn't get rid of all the magnets with Laura Bush on them.
Oh.
Need it.
Wait, is that a
This is the Zodiac Killer, alright?
Don't want to do it.
Are you interviewing?
Yes.
I didn't sign a debriefing.
Also inanimate cats, since animate, but the video shows the exact opposite.
Activate skin. Playing with a pear one day, though. The end of the fruit knife. I once discovered a resemblance to the surrounded at home by little pips. They would chop off the nose into roundels, shave slathers from the
buzzing to fulfill dry shadow.
All of it. The whole thing. Fetch them.
And shooting fiery
The
Martian
blueberries
scott
are in
poured
season
from
in
crystal
my
crystal
kitchen.
cameras. The script.
Are those Apple earbuds? Not worried. It's long.
That's what the American dream is supposed to be all about. We get knocked out sometimes. A whole lot of us.
Oh, they're happy.
I don't want to go to the top one yet, just because Daniel's not here.
There you are.
Is that right?
Each of those is about an acre. This is an acre plane.
That's cool. Maybe one day I'll just stick around. I'm looking forward to it.
He's not coming, we don't think.
Okay.
And he didn't, I don't know. I asked Mariana if she'd seen him and asked if he were okay, and she's like, he hasn't left the house. So I don't think he left. I think he catfished us, but it's okay.
As international students, we have a voice too, and we have the right to be heard as anyone else. We grew up like everyone outside of the US has this concept of America being perfect and just and free and just like some sort of utopia, but it's not really like that. I like to surround myself with people who, like, in somewhat can relate to me in some way, in terms of being away from home and having to also adapt. And that just helps me because it helps me kind of be able to express my feelings to somebody else that is receptive to those ideas and to those opinions and just things that go around in my head.
You managed to bit the pig.
I don't know, I just have many Hispanic friends that help me sort of reconnect with my culture from time to time. And I tried to make like this salsa dance team, but that didn't really work out because my school is predominantly white.
America is built by foreign people, international people.
Each of us, whether international student, has something valuable to bring to the country, whether that is a culture, tradition, or a mindset. I think we all have something special to bring and attribute to US.
Look at that! I did not hit that tree. Don't film me!
At the end of the day, international students have the exact same goal as American students. We just want to get the best education and become the best version of ourselves.
I'm here to tell you today that you, my friends, are the preeminent bigots that this country has ever known. And when I blame you as the creator of the problem, I'm referring to white people, specifically millennial white liberals. Today as a nation, we are on the brink of ruin. One day, perhaps a day too soon, freedom of groups will be limited due to extreme censorship by the liberal majority. We seem to think that the most horrendous forms of violence includes physical or sexual, but in actuality, verbal violence is included in this category. I like to label this form of violence as verbal imperialism. Verbal imperialism is when an individual's freedom of speech is hindered and terminated by someone, usually someone of left-wing ideologies, because it is thought an opinion that differs from the left isn't the right opinion. How do you expect anyone to listen to you if you insult them before they finish their sentence? This is the problem. And the scarier part that it isn't even close to being fixed because everyone is scared of talking and people fear of being ridiculed if they even try to go against the liberal majority. Some even think it's a waste of time because if your opinion differs, you're banned from the dinner table. We don't debate anymore because white people have already won the cultural war. The liberal majority is like the Meryl Streep of classes. They just seem to always come back from the win, even when they take a couple of years off and give others a chance to take charge. They always come back from the hiatus ready to battle, picking off where they left off and immediately assuming their positions as number one. But in reality, they're coming back to claim their prize, to be on top and to show everyone again that they're the best. Yes, whites, you are on top again. 152 years ago, you ended slavery. But today, you gave the world something else, political correctness. Another world of slavery, but this time, human hands aren't shackled. Words are, and everyone is affected. Engage in debates. Talk to people who think differently than you and persuade them of your argument. It's so easy. Tell them where you think they're wrong, but don't yell at them. Don't insult them. Don't cut them off. Love and kindness. Remember, guys, your words, not mine. I don't know who can fix this problem of verbal imperialism, and I don't know if it'll ever be fixed. But I do know one thing. It starts with just 2 steps. 1, shut up and listen. And 2, walk in someone's shoes. Thank you.